in the headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly 8th session makes decisions on socio-economic issues. And newly elected State President LUONG sworn in. In our world news, U.S. and Canadian warships sail through the Taiwan Strait.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Good morning, it is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi and you're watching VTV News. I'm Hoi An with the top stories. The 15th National Assembly opened its 8th session on Monday in Hanoi, focusing on building laws, exercising the supreme supervisory power, and making decisions about socio-economic issues and other important affairs. In his opening speech, National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn stressed that this session could be considered to be of great significance, as the legislature will discuss and decide on many issues aimed at promptly removing difficulties and obstacles faced in terms of institutions and policies, unblocking resources, and overcoming bottlenecks, all for the socio-economic development of the nation and to ensure people's lives. The National Assembly will spend most of its time building laws, exercising the supreme supervisory power, and making decisions about socio-economic issues and other important affairs. It is poised to review and approve 18 draft laws and 3 draft resolutions, and discuss 10 other draft laws for the first time. Now, also at the opening session of the 8th National Assembly, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm delivered a key speech containing important messages.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm highlighted the achievements made since the beginning of the 15th National Assembly and the progress in implementing goals and tasks for 2024. He urged the National Assembly to continue its strong reform efforts in organization and operations.
A strong reform in legislative work is needed, including shifting the mindset in lawmaking to ensure both state management requirements and the encouragement of creativity to unlock all productive potential and resources for development. Legal provisions must be stable and long-lasting. Laws should only address framework issues and principles, avoiding excessive length. For frequently changing practical issues, it is essential to delegate authority to the government and localities for flexible management, innovating the process of lawmaking and implementation. Laws should be grounded in Vietnam's practical realities, allowing for an iterative approach that incorporates lessons learned. It's important to avoid hasty decisions and over-perfectionism, which could lead to missed opportunities. Instead, focus on citizens and businesses as the central subjects, promoting decentralization and delegation with the principle that localities decide, localities implement, localities are responsible. Administrative procedures should be radically reformed to reduce compliance costs and create maximum convenience for citizens and businesses. Focusing on controlling power in lawmaking, tightening discipline and accountability, especially regarding the responsibilities of leaders, and firmly combating negative practices and group interests. Proactively and urgently developing a legal framework for emerging issues and trends, particularly those related to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and green transition. This framework is vital for successfully implementing the digital transformation revolution and creating breakthroughs for the country's development in the coming years.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm also urged the National Assembly to enhance its oversight and decision-making on crucial national issues. He called on the National Assembly deputies to lead by example and contribute to building the country's development framework with a spirit of innovation and reform, dedicated to serving the homeland and its people.
On Monday morning, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính addressed the National Assembly and the public, reporting on the outcomes of the 2024 Socio-Economic Development Plan and outlining the proposed plan for 2025. More to follow.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh emphasized that the global landscape in 2024 has been complex and unpredictable. Meanwhile, Vietnam not only has to face external challenges but also long-standing internal limitations and urgent issues arising from natural disasters with severe, lasting impacts. In this context, the government is closely monitoring developments and is dedicated to a decisive and flexible implementation of necessary tasks and solutions.
The first 9 months have seen significant progress across most areas. We estimate that 14 out of 15 annual targets will be met or exceeded, with GDP per capita likely hitting its goal if growth exceeds 7%.
Alongside the positive results, the Prime Minister highlighted several limitations and challenges. Macroeconomic stability has some hidden risks, while production and business activities continue to face difficulties. After outlining these challenges, the Prime Minister emphasized the government's key tasks and solutions for the remainder of the year.
Our goal is to meet or exceed all 15 key targets. We aim to maintain development momentum while ensuring macroeconomic stability, controlling inflation, and achieving over 7% GDP growth for the year, with inflation kept below 4.5%. We're targeting around 15% credit growth and a state budget revenue increase of at least 10%, along with a public investment disbursement rate of at least 95% as assigned by the government.
In 2025, the government aims for key socioeconomic targets, including GDP growth of 6.5 to 7%, with aspirations for 7 to 7.5%, and a CPI of around 4.5%. He stressed the importance of institutional reforms, improving legal regulations, enhancing decentralization, and simplifying administrative procedures to eliminate corruption and inefficiencies.
The National Assembly on Monday afternoon voted to elect General LUONG, Politburo member and permanent member of the party secretariat, as the state president for the 2021 to 2026 term, with 100% of the votes in favor. The newly elected state president took the oath of office in front of the National Assembly, people, and voters.
Under the sacred national flag of the fatherland, before the National Assembly and the people and voters of Vietnam, I, LUONG, State President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, pledge my absolute loyalty to the fatherland, the people, and the Constitution. I commit to fulfilling the tasks assigned by the party, the state, and the people.
In his speech, State President LUONG expressed his honor and sense of responsibility after being elected by the National Assembly. He affirmed that whatever position he holds or mission he is assigned, he has always remained politically steadfast and absolutely loyal to the party, the fatherland, and the people. He also strived to overcome challenges, continuously learn and improve his competence.
Faced with increasing demands of national development and defense, I commit to fully dedicating myself to fulfilling my duties as state president. I vow to strengthen unity within the party and, together with the entire nation, continue to nurture great national solidarity and build a strong, socialist rule of law state that truly serves the people.
The state president pledged to enhance national defense and security, strengthen the revolutionary, professional and modern armed forces, and build the people's defense and security posture. Additionally, he affirmed Vietnam's consistent foreign policy of independence, self-reliance, peace, and friendship. The country will continue to pursue multilateralism, international integration and cooperation, safeguarding national interests and firmly protecting sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. He affirmed his determination to uphold national unity and socialism, striving for a prosperous, strong, democratic, equitable and civilized Vietnam, and ensuring peace and happiness for all citizens.
Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm highlighted the significance of protecting the party's ideological foundation while addressing the award ceremony for a writing contest on the subject in Hanoi on Sunday. Accordingly, protecting the party's ideological foundation and fighting against incorrect and hostile views must be closely linked to economic, cultural, and socio development and improvement of people's lives, in which bringing up prosperity and happiness to the people is the key factor. He said that after 40 years of renewal, with the accumulated position and power, Vietnam has all the necessary conditions to take advantage of the historic opportunity to enter a new era of national development. This year's contest drew more than 468,000 entries, including more than 35,000 essays by young people and students, 610 by Vietnamese people working or studying abroad, and 13 by foreigners. On Monday morning, the National Assembly reviewed the verification of the Socioeconomic Development Plan report, the report on voters' recommendations for the 8th session, and a report on the resolution of voters' recommendations from the 7th session. More to follow.
The National Assembly's Economic Committee reviewed the 2024 and 2025 Socioeconomic Development Plans, noting a positive recovery in economic growth, with GDP estimated at 6.8 to 7%, surpassing targets. Registered foreign direct investment is at its highest since 2021, indicating strong investor confidence. Transport and electricity infrastructure improvements have been significant, and major events have been well organized. The committee urged the National Assembly to address the causes of lower public investment disbursement compared to last year and to find solutions for inefficient projects. They also recommended that the government tackle shortages of medicines and medical supplies and focus on effectively implementing the National Target Program on Culture. The report on the opinions and recommendations of voters and the people noted that voters have deep confidence in the party and state's leadership and are pleased with the economy's recovery. However, they expressed concern over the impacts of Typhoon Yagi and hope for more effective policies to ensure safety against climate change and measures to combat corruption and wastefulness. Earlier, the report on the settlement of voters' recommendations sent to the 7th session indicated that 97.8% have been resolved. In the afternoon, the National Assembly reviewed the submission and report on the draft amended law on electricity, which emphasizes the research and development of nuclear power and aims to protect the environment, address climate change, and support the energy transition.
Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnam's agricultural export potential to Muslim countries. And Quảng Ninh welcomes 3 millionth foreign tourists of 2024. The halal Muslim market, with a population of over 2 billion, offers a significant potential for Vietnamese agricultural exports. And to tap into this market, Vietnamese enterprises must meet strict halal standards and improve their competitiveness to expand their product offerings and market share.
Halal-certified poultry farms and slaughterhouses are increasingly common nationwide, particularly in the southeast region. To label meat products as halal, these facilities must meet strict Islamic requirements regarding feed sources, care processes, slaughtering, processing, and packaging.
When slaughtering and processing, we are not allowed to use haram substances. It was quite difficult at first, but once it became routine, it became easier.
The Department of Animal Health and the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development have negotiated with Nigeria and Saudi Arabia and are facilitating livestock product exports to other Muslim markets.
Some businesses have targeted the halal market, so the Department of Animal Health has facilitated connections with Muslim countries to gather information on import conditions.
According to Cognitive Market Research, the global halal food market is expected to exceed $2.5 trillion this year and grow to $4.9 trillion by 2031.
Pakistan is around 240 million population, and Pakistan is a huge country that has a huge demand for meat and meat products because it's a meat-loving nation. So we also export a lot of meat and meat products, and we also import some products.
Halal certification is a major challenge due to varying standards among Muslim countries. Vietnamese products also face strong competition from countries already established in the halal market. Therefore, Vietnamese businesses must be well prepared to seize this market's opportunities.
Cold air and easterly winds have brought heavy rain to the central region, with some areas receiving over 100 millimeters of rain. In cities like Vinh and Tam Kỳ, flooding has affected homes and roads, causing a disruption. Rain is expected to continue from Quảng Trị to Bình Định, with 50 to 150 millimeters forecasted, raising concerns of flash floods and landslides. Thunderstorms in other areas, including Thanh Hóa and the Central Highlands, may bring over 80 millimeters of rain, lightning, and strong winds. Meanwhile, Ho Chi Minh City tides are expected to fall below alert level 2. After Typhoon Yagi, Thái Nguyên province sustained an estimated $33.6 million of damage. The agricultural sector suffered losses of over 6,700 hectares of rice and more than 1,300 hectares of other crops due to flooding. With support from various levels and sectors, local residents have been assisted with recovery efforts to resume production and normalize their lives.
Today, the women's group supported Chang in harvesting tea. This is part of the villagers' efforts to restart production after Typhoon Yagi.
This tea area was flooded and suffered significant damage. It now yields only 4 to 5 kilos per 360 square meters, down from over 10 kilos, and its quality has declined.
Typhoon Yagi submerged 1.6 hectares of Hung's rice fields. She is urgently harvesting to prepare the fields for the upcoming winter-spring crop.
After the rice field was flooded, the hamlet authorities came to assess the water levels and pests. My family took their advice to ensure the land could be prepared for the next crop after this harvest.
Kai Hamlet's vegetable village, which supplies Thái Nguyên City, was flooded. Villagers swiftly cleaned and plowed the fields to resume production. 1 month after the typhoon, the fields were ready to be harvested.
The province has directed the agricultural sector to support those affected by the storm and to restore rice, vegetable, and winter crop production. We're helping farmers expand their winter crops to provide income and boost production for greater economic efficiency.
The province is focused on kickstarting the production of rice, vegetables, and winter crops, while support mechanisms are in place for recovery. The community's determination is crucial for improving lives after storms and floods.
The northern coastal province of Quảng Ninh, home to World Heritage Site Hạ Long Bay, held a ceremony on October 21st to welcome its 3 millionth foreign tourists on board the Viking Oriana cruise ship. According to the Provincial Department of Tourism, the event marks a milestone for the locality. It demonstrates its efforts to overcome Typhoon Yagi's aftermath and host visitors with the highest quality services. Quảng Ninh is working to attract more international arrivals, and by the end of the year, the province will host around 20 international cruise ships. In the first 9 months of this year, Guangning received 15.64 million tourists, with more than 2.59 million foreigners. It is expected to host 19 million visitors, comprising over 3.5 million foreign tourists this year, creating growth momentum for 2025 and the subsequent years. When one thinks of Hoi An City, images of sparkling red lanterns and moss-covered old tile roofs come to mind, along with its long-standing traditional crafts. However, over time, some of these traditional crafts have gradually faded away. Driven by a desire to preserve these cultural values, a group of young people has come together to create a space called Handicraft Village, where traditional crafts are combined and continue to develop through the hands and creativity of the younger generation.
Hoi An Handicraft Village was established in June 2023. We currently have 7 workshops with 7 activities. The first activity is making handmade leather goods. The second is handmade leather carving. The third is making and painting masks. The fourth is making models of Vietnamese traditional costumes. The fifth is making macrame, the sixth is crocheting, and the seventh is recycling scrap fabric.
Originally a seasonal market, Handicraft Village has developed into a permanent space with traditional craft classes held daily.
We are very proud of this community. We don't think about profit, but the value our handcrafted products bring to people.
Through handicraft making lessons, Handicraft Village has contributed to enriching the experiences of tourists visiting Hoi An in an intimate and authentic way.
I've come here before, but this is the first time I come as a student. I love how they all have different skills and talents that they're happy to share. But above all, it's how they support each other. Hoi An has a very special soul to it. I don't know how else to describe it. I think other cities in the world have to build up this tradition of crafts and arts to then welcome both locals and foreigners. I think Hoi An pretty much has it in its blood. I think it's a pearl in Vietnam, actually.
The members of Handicraft Village not only create exquisite handmade pieces daily, but also help promote and preserve Hoi An's traditional cultural heritage.
Coming up next in our world news, U.S. and Canadian warships sail through the Taiwan Strait. And over 230 migrants rescued from boat off Spain's Canary Islands. Now moving on to our world news, U.S. and Canadian warships sailed through the Taiwan Strait on Sunday. China has condemned the move, stating that it undermines peace and stability in the region. The Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army remains on high alert. It resolutely safeguards national sovereignty and security, as well as regional peace and stability. And according to a statement from the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet on Monday, the destroyer USS Higgins and the Canadian frigate HMCS Vancouver made a routine transit of the strait to uphold the principle of freedom of navigation for all countries. The U.S. Navy and allied ships typically pass through the strait about once a month, and the last time the U.S. and Canadian navies conducted such a joint mission was last November. A Russian naval flotilla arrived at Yangon's Thilawa port on Sunday to participate in maritime exercises with the Myanmar Navy. 4 corvettes and a logistic vessel from Russia's Pacific Fleet are involved in the second joint maritime security exercise between Myanmar and Russia. Previously, Myanmar announced it would hold a live-fire maritime security exercise in the northern Andaman Sea from October 20th to 24th. It warned fishing boats and aircraft not to travel in the area. Both navies conducted a combined drill in the Andaman Sea last November. Coast Guard said over 230 migrants were rescued from one flimsy boat on Sunday in seas off Spain's Canary Islands. 14 women and 3 children were found in the boat, which contained a total of 231 people, rescuers said. The Spanish Coast Guard told Reuters that the unprecedented emergency off the island of Gran Canaria involved the largest rescue of people from a single boat in the area. The Spanish Coast Guard towed the wooden boat containing the migrants to a location near Gran Canaria main port. And according to the government's figures, some 32,878 migrants took the perilous route in boats from West Africa to the Canary Islands between January and October 15th, a rise of 39.7% from the same period last year. Invasive quagga mussels are rapidly spreading through Switzerland's lakes, causing a serious ecological damage. From destroying fishing nets to threatening native species, their impact is growing at an alarming rate. More to follow.
These days, fisherman Claude Deli often finds himself battling to clear his nets. And that's because of this tiny brown mollusk, the invasive quagga mussel.
This net isn't even a month old, and it's already ruined.
Along with eating away at fishermen's nets, the mussels threaten native species. Stefan Jacquet, part of a research team at the Alpine Research Center on Trophic Networks and Limnic Ecosystems, says he has seen native Swiss crayfish encrusted with these mussels, threatening them with suffocation. The mussels also consume huge amounts of microscopic plants called phytoplankton.
If plankton, which is normally eaten by larger plankton, fish larvae, and fish, is reduced or limited, it can have repercussions throughout the food web, affecting the fish that end up on our plates.
The mussels were first detected in Switzerland in the River Rhine near Basel in 2014. Since then, they have spread to colonize at least 6 Swiss lakes. Including Lake Geneva, once introduced, the species multiplies rapidly. One individual can produce hundreds of thousands of larvae.
When we look underwater, we can see that it has exponential colonization, which is very significant, as these ecosystems are now completely covered, from the surface to the depths. Its capacity for colonization and propagation is enormous.
It is not yet clear how each lake became invaded. However, mussel larvae can spread through rivers or currents. They may be introduced into new bodies of water when boats or equipment are moved. In some places, authorities are now considering new rules for cleaning and transporting boats to stop the spread.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.